So I'm going to read a little bit from this gardening book from, I think it's 1966, the complete book of the garden. I left off here. It's a picture from Trachena terminalis tricolor, tea plant. Other worthwhile Dieffenbachs, some of which are hybrids, are D. Bosse, with its pale foliage variegated with dark green and white spots. D. Memoria corsi, which has grayish leaves with darker veins and a few white spots. And D. exotica, a compact kind with rather small leaves that are handsomely variegated with creamy white. All require the same culture as D. picta. Dracena fragrans messengana is the old-fashioned corn plant. It grows vigorously and without difficulty in almost any indoor environment where it receives fairly good light and where the temperature ranges between 55 degrees and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The long, broad leaves arch downward and are striped light green and yellow along their centers. Water this kind often enough to keep its soil moderately moist and give it an application of dilute fertilizer about once a month. D. sanderiana is quite different from the many other varieties of Dracena. The leaves, about 1 inch across and 6 to 8 inches long, grow at intervals from the straight stem, some like wheat. The center of the leaf is grayish green and the margin ivory cream. This plant needs semi-shade, a temperature of 60 degrees to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and sufficient water to keep the soil evenly moist. It is often used in mixed arrangements in planters. D. terminalis, cordylan terminalis, is the tea plant of Hawaii, which will tolerate home conditions for many months, and in a planter arrangement may last for a year. The coloring of the leaves ranges from irregular patterns of bright red and green to pale pink and green. Plants 1.5 to 2 feet high are usually available in 5-inch pots. They should be put in a light place out of direct sunlight or in semi-shade. Ideally, they should have a temperature of 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but they will withstand temperatures a few degrees lower. Keep evenly moist and provide humidity, if possible, by plunging in peat moss or by placing in a planter arrangement. This species is prone to attack by red spider mites, especially when it is in a hot, dry atmosphere. DT tricolor has broad leaves with large areas of cream on green and vivid flashes of bright pink. Duncane, C. Dieffenbachia. Easter lily, C. lilium. Epischia, flame violet. These relatives of African violets are trailers with attractive, usually variegated hairy foliage and red, orange-red, lilac or white flowers. They are especially useful for hanging baskets and planters. Epischias need good light with shade and strong sun and a humid or fairly humid atmosphere. The soil for them should contain an abundance of organic matter, such as leaf mold or peat moss, and be well drained. At all times it should be kept fairly moist. Too much wetness and poor aeration of the soil quickly causes the death of these plants. Euphorbia pulcherrima poinsettia. To maintain these popular Christmas plants in good condition and bloom as long as possible, keep them out of drafts, in good light but out of direct sun, in temperatures between 58 degrees and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Spray their foliage with water daily and keep the soil always moist. Poinsettias may be kept over for the following year, but rarely do they flower satisfactorily when grown under house conditions. If kept, let them dry completely after flowering and remain dry until May. Then prune to within 6 inches of the soil. Shake them free of old soil and repot in new fertile porous soil. Place them in full sun, minimum temperature 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and resume regular watering. Pinch tips out of new shoots when 6 to 8 inches long, and again in late July. Pot them into larger containers if the old ones are well filled with roots. Fertilize well-rooted specimens regularly. They may be kept outdoors in full sun during summer, but bring indoors before cold nights arrive, and grow them in full sun. Poinsettias will not bloom unless they get 14 hours of complete darkness each night. Artificial light during this period prevents blooming. Fatshedera lizzie. Almost said fat shit. Fatshedera lizzie. This bigeneric hybrid resulted from cross between Fatsia and Hedera, English ivy. It is of erect, wiry growth on a single stem that requires support. The dark green leaves are shaped rather like those of the Fatsia or Aurelia, but are smaller and have 5 points. One of the easiest of houseplants, it is tolerant of almost any treatment and condition, even when the temperature goes down to 45 or 50 degrees at night. 50 degrees Fahrenheit at night. Keep moist in semi-shade and feed regularly during the growing season. Repot in spring or summer when the plant becomes too tall for the pot in which it is growing. Fatshedera lizzie variegata. This has a broad green margin around the edges of the leaves. It is not quite as hardy as the green variety. In poor light in winter, in a hot, dry atmosphere, or if the plant is allowed to dry out, the lower leaves tend to turn brown and fall off. Fatsia japonica, Aurelia sieboldii, one of the easiest house plants. Its leaves are large and shaped like the palm of a hand, with 7 to 9 lobes. Frequent feeding when in active growth keeps the leaves a good dark green. Attractive when about 1.5 to 2 feet high in a 5-inch pot. The plant prefers semi-shade, but can be gradually acclimatized to almost full light. Keep well watered in summer, but give less water in winter. Fatsia japonica variegata, an intermediate plant, is more delicate than the green-leafed variety. The variegation occurs at the tips of the lobes and the leaf edges, and this form can be propagated only from cuttings. Ficus. If protected from drafts, ficus will tolerate both low and high temperatures, but it thrives best in a temperature of 55 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It will grow in a wide variety of locations, but if in a light place, should be moved to shade when new leaves emerge, as too much sunlight will cause the leaves to be hard and small. Keep it evenly moist in spring and summer, but take care to not overwater in winter. Sponging the leaves not only benefits the plant, but also improves the glossy appearance. Ficus benjamina. Ficus benjamina. It is attractive and highly individual. The upright woody stem and numerous branches covered with small dark green leaves give the impression of a graceful weeping tree. It should always be kept moist in summer, but allowed almost to dry out between waterings. This plant prefers a semi-shaded position out of direct sunlight. Some yellowing and drooping or dropping of the leaves may occur naturally in winter, but this loss will be more than replaced in the growing season. F. elastica decora, rubber plant, is a great improvement over the old-fashioned rubber plant. The dark green leathery leaves grow spirally from an upright stem, each leaf being attached by a thin stalk about 1 inch long. The leaves are about 9 to 12 inches in length and 5 to 7 inches wide. During the growing months, the sheath containing the furled new leaf at the growing tip of the plant is colored bright red, but it turns brown and falls off when the new leaf emerges. If it fails to do so, it should be removed, as it may cause the new leaf to rot. F.E. doscheri, variegated rubber plant, is the only large-leafed variegated ficus. It is similar in appearance to F.E. decora, but the leaves are longer and narrower. The young leaves have broad, irregularly shaped cream markings around the edges, which become narrower as the leaf matures. The center of the leaf is of 2 shades of green in irregular patches, a striking and highly decorative, though somewhat delicate plant. It requires warmth and humidity. Place in a light location out of direct sunlight. Keep moist in summer and rather dry in winter. If the soil becomes very dry, however, the leaves will droop and may fall off. Take care also to not overwater this plant, or the edges of the leaves will turn brown. If this should happen, trim off the brown edges with scissors and allow it to dry almost completely before attempting to water it again. F. pumila, creeping fig. This climbing, creeping, or trailing plant, with its thin stems and thick growth of elongated heart-shaped leaves, is quite unlike other members of the family. The leaves are about ½ inch across and 1 inch long. Unlike most houseplants, it should always be kept moist. Never let the soil dry out. An occasional spraying over the leaves and regular feeding during the growing season are beneficial. The plant will withstand moderate to cool temperatures, and in a cool sunroom will climb a wall rapidly, supported by its aerial roots. It prefers a shaded or semi-shaded location. F.P. variegata. This variegated form of the creeping fig is dainty and good-looking. The leaves are blotched with white, and although they tend to revert to green during the winter, The new growth in spring and summer will be variegated. Treatment and conditions are the same as for F. pumila, but it should have more light, not direct sunlight. Phytonia argyroneura, a tropical plant of prostrate grower. Phytonia argyroneura is rather delicate. The leaves are roundish, about 3 to 4 inches long, and of a medium green with silver veins, which gives the effect of an intricate silver net over the leaf. The plant prefers deep shade and must be kept humid and warm, minimum 55 degrees Fahrenheit. It will quickly die if allowed to dry out, but overwatering will have the same effect. Best results are obtained when this sensitive plant is grown in a terrarium. F. verschaffelti is similar to F. argyroneura, but the leaf veins are pink. Flame violet, C. epischia. Flowering maple, C. apotilon. Fuchsia. These graceful summer blooming plants may be had in wide variety. Their hanging flowers are single or double and come in various shades and combinations of pink, red, blue, purple, and white. They need cool growing conditions and in winter must be kept almost dormant, when night temperatures of 40 degrees to 50 degrees Fahrenheit are adequate. With the coming of spring, temperatures may be increased by 5 degrees or 10 degrees. A humid atmosphere at all times is essential. Fuchsias will not stand hot, dry conditions. From spring through fall, they need light shade from strong direct sun. In winter, only enough water should be given to them to prevent the stems from shriveling. Between waterings, the soil must be allowed to become almost completely dry. At other seasons, liberal watering should be the rule, if the soil is sufficiently porous to avoid stagnation. Occasional pinching back of the tips in the growing season induces bushy growth, and in late winter or early spring, old specimens may be pruned back rather severely and at the same time repotted. Well-rooted specimens will respond to regular fertilizing throughout the summer. Gardenia, Cape Jasmine. Some people succeed in growing florist gardenias as houseplants. Most who try do not. Gardenia requirements are exacting: acid soil, good light, a humid atmosphere, temperatures between 60 degrees and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Sufficient watering to keep the soil always moist, not continually saturated, and moderate fertilizing. The florist gardenia is Gardenia jasminoides veitchi and its varieties. These exotic plants are chiefly winter and spring bloomers. Easier to grow as a houseplant is G. jasminoides, commonly planted outdoors in the south. Smaller flowered and summer blooming, this kind can be kept in a fairly cool, light cellar over winter and be flowered in a sun porch or window or on an outdoor terrace in summer. Geranium, C. pelargonium. Gloxinia, C. syningia. Grape ivy, C. cissus rombifolia. Hedera, ivy. All varieties make easy houseplants, and most are hardy out of doors except in regions of very severe winters. The green-leaved ivies. Place these ivies in a shady spot. During the growing season, feed regularly with a liquid fertilizer and keep moist. Allow the soil almost to dry out between waterings in winter. All of the numerous varieties will tolerate a great deal of neglect or ill treatment. Hedera helix cristata, parsley ivy. The leaves are almost round in shape, with a heavily fringed edge similar to parsley. This variety, though unusual, is not especially decorative. H. Green Ripples is an increasingly popular variety because its remarkably pointed and dainty leaves. H. Hibernica, commonly called English ivy, is the most popular houseplant, mainly because of its vigorous growth and its ability to take rough treatment. It can be grown either as a climber or as a trailer, and benefits from restrictive pruning in the growing season. It has a rather large leaf. H. minima has a profusion of very small, thin leaves. H. my heart has attractive, medium-large, dark green, glossy leaves, almost heart-shaped and slightly pointed. H. sagittaifolia, arrowhead ivy, a popular variety with arrow-shaped leaves, has central lobes that are elongated and triangular. The variegated-leaved ivies. These are slightly less tolerant of neglect than the green-leafed varieties, although they may still be classified as easy houseplants. Keep them away from any source of dry heat, as with most other variegated leaves varieties. They prefer good light, particularly in winter, but not direct sunlight. Feed regularly in the growing season with a good liquid fertilizer, and keep moist, but allow them almost to dry out between waterings in winter. Overwatering at this season often causes the variegated section of the leaf to turn brown. Some variegated varieties revert to green growth during the winter, and in early spring produce thin, spindly growth. Prune this as soon as the plant is growing vigorously. Pruning improves the shape of the plant and encourages self-branching. There are many variegated varieties of ivy. Hedera canariensis variegata is one of the showiest and most popular varieties. Its large, almost heart-shaped leaves have irregular markings of dark green and are gray-green in the center with a pale cream margin. A slow grower, it should not be overwatered or the leaves will soon turn brown. H. helix glacier. The small leaves of this ivy are an effective silver gray with cream margin. It makes a good trailer, will withstand frost, and is therefore a fine subject for window boxes out of doors. If the plant becomes straggly in the autumn, let it dry out and stand it outside in a sheltered place for the winter. Bring it back to the house early in March and water sufficiently to start growth again, increasing watering as growth progresses. The woody stems that have hardened outside during the winter will eventually produce masses of tiny new leaves along their whole length. So I think I'll stop there for now. Let's put this here. And I'll continue reading this in another video. Yeah, I hope it helped you fall asleep a little bit. Thank you for commenting and liking and subscribing and everything. Yeah, hope it helped you fall asleep.